If you had to guess what the least played map in Tarkov's Arena mode was, which map would you say? Spoiler alert, it's Sawmill. It's always been Sawmill. Ever since we got the first version of the game available to the public, this map, while interesting in its own unique ways, doesn't really jive with the purpose of Arena existing. It meets somewhere in the middle between a small battle arena and a chunk of normal Tarkov maps ripped out of the game, because technically it kind of is. It's a chunk of woods taken and modified to be an arena map, which isn't a bad thing. The concept and execution are both solid, but when you're at the map selection screen, you're most likely not selecting Sawmill to be in your map rotation. So why? What's the reason or reasons that people don't play this map? Is it just bad? Does it not make sense to be in Arena? And can you even play this map this deep into Arena's life? Before we start berating the map with what's wrong with it, I think it would make sense to briefly go over what does work. Sadly, there isn't a ton to highlight here, but enough that we can still have a conversation about it. Firstly, it's the only map in the game that is completely surrounded by the outside and by foliage. There are other maps also outside, but this one feels as though you are truly outdoors, in the wilderness, away from any civilization. It has an atmosphere to it that doesn't really compare to any of the other maps on offer, and that works to its strengths. It's the largest map out of all of the bunch, and has the longest sightlines of all the maps. Because of this, the map is more tailored to weapons like DMRs and bolt-action rifles, or at the very least weapons with some form of a scope on them. You can still get away with red dots, but you'll need to play much more carefully than just running down a lane and setting up an angle against your opponents. And I can't lie, it's nice to have a map that really leans in on a playstyle the rest of the game kind of shuns away from. I mean, we have Bull as another alternative to the Arena formula that allows for both close and long-range gameplay with the two sniper towers, but Sawmill really feels like it doesn't want you using just a red dot or a holographic on your gun. And as someone who enjoys playing regular Tarkov at distances with snipers and scopes of the like, it's something I can personally appreciate a lot. The gameplay of Sawmill should be slower, more methodical. You need to keep your head down and constantly be moving from cover to cover. Otherwise, their enemy sniper is gonna take you down before you even hit the halfway point on the map. Again, comparing it to the other maps, it's a night and day difference, and it's nice to have that variety in the game. It's just unfortunate then that this map is extremely difficult to play on, if not impossible sometimes. Obviously, it seems like the vast majority of players for Arena might disagree with me on this, and that's perfectly fine. The only problem is that now it's almost impossible to get into a game of Sawmill. Over the past 3 days, I have tried for 10 minutes 3 times each day to queue into Sawmill. Last hero, team fight, it didn't matter what mode I was playing. There is just sadly no one trying to get into this map. Maybe to give the game the benefit of the doubt, it's just some bad luck with when I was trying to queue. But for morning, afternoon, and evening, not once did the queue even pop to confirm that I was ready to play. It was just constantly searching. But other maps work with little to no issues. It's unfortunately kind of a shame, really. My biggest guess as to why Sawmill isn't so popular is because it's directly antithetical to the goals of Arena. The whole point of Arena existing is to play short, fast-paced micro versions of Tarkov raids with little to no risk. It's so people can experience what it's like to play normal Tarkov without having to worry about their gear or as many knowledge checks the game kind of requires from you at this point. In Arena, it's very much streamlined to simply, if you see the enemy, shoot them before they shoot you. And with the 2.0 version of Arena, with the ability to make your own classes and presets, this only helps to cement the role that Arena is supposed to play. A supplementary extension of an already existing complex game. And Sawmill doesn't really facilitate that style of gameplay as well as the other maps do. Chop Shop, Equator, even like Bay 5, all really isolate the experience to these small stages where anything can happen. Whereas Sawmill genuinely feels like you're kind of just playing on woods, which hey, Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing, but it's also not what people imagine when they think of Arena for Tarkov. It can't be too slow, with so many different angles and locations to get killed from where you have no idea how it happened. Most of the time on other maps, the deaths feel like they make sense within the confines of the maps they occur on. You can usually see the person, they just hit their shot before you did, and things usually happen much closer to you, so it boils down to not getting caught out while sprinting, or the other player hears your footsteps if it's like a one-on-one situation. There are a lot more practical reasons for death in the smaller maps of Arena, where on Sawmill, when you die, there's a chance that the kill cam will just be a dude sitting in a bush with a scope and you had no chance of ever even seeing him in the first place. With all these negative points going against the map, this kind of begs one question. Is Sawmill a bad map just design-wise? And the answer is no, it's not bad, it's just different. BSG must have wanted to have some variety not only in the terms of the locations and environments on which you fight at, but also the distances and style of weapons you would be recommended to use. Again, some people like it and appreciate the breakup from always playing on maps where you have to duct tape your W key down and just run at your foes, and others have this rather disdain for playing Arena and having even a single round go into overtime to capture the objective. At the end of the day, it's what you want to get out of Arena, and at least we have the variety to break up the monotony that can sometimes come from playing the same 1 or 2 maps all the time. Some like it and others don't, and you know what? That's okay. There is something here for everyone, which is what I appreciate the most about Sawmill. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but there is a group of people who enjoy playing it, and that makes me happy at least. Plus, it does have the largest XP boost of all the maps at 1.7 times, which, hey, if you get lucky and pop off on that map, you'll be leveling up in no time. Sawmill is definitely the least played map in the game, and it's not even close. Well, maybe Skybridge is a close second, but that's maybe another conversation for another video. As a Sawmill enjoyer, it's sad to not be able to play the map when I have the desire to do so, but I kinda understand why. It goes against Arena's core principle of fast, aggressive, and repeatable. If you only have an hour to play, you're just not gonna pick Sawmill as your map of choice. It's too slow, and at this point, you'll spend more time in queue than if you were to just pick a different map. Hell, you could probably get 2 games of Last Hero on Chop Shop in the time you'd be in queue for 1 game of Sawmill. But if that's what players are gonna choose, then who am I or anyone else to disagree with what they want? Maybe in the future, they can update the map to make it a little bit more interesting and engaging to play, so people would be more willing to play on it, but who knows. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts on Sawmill as a map, whether or not you enjoy it, and be sure to subscribe for more videos about parts of Arena that might subjectively be interesting or fun, but is kind of objectively hated by the masses. I hope to see you in future ones.